let's move on, shall we? Because his name was said 3 times, which means he has shown up in a mirror. It's Mr. Winston Peters, back in Wellington.
Winston Peters returned to Parliament today, hosting his first caucus meeting with a number of new MPs.
But anyone hoping for insights into his possible coalition demands will have been left disappointed. Political editor Jenna Lynch has the latest.
Winston Peters, welcome to Wellington. It's been a while, returning to the capital after 3 years in the political wilderness, greeted by his old foes. Questions.
Now, I got to be honest with you. What Winston Peters here did to the media, I might be using a little bit of a, I might be exaggerating a bit and being a bit fangirly here. Not that I'm a fan of Winston's, but is a little bit gangster. And I give him some credit for it. The silence, I'm not going to talk to you, just nothing, is a little bit gangster. I like it. Now, I think the very last question he gets asked when he gets into his car kind of goes to show what our media's turned into. And that is, on some level, tabloid journalism. Even our political reporters. You listen carefully. As he gets into the car, one of the reporters yells, "Can't we even get a wave, Mr. Peters?" They want him to get in the car and give a wave. Do you know why they want to do that? Because that's what they want to use in the news. They want to use Mr. Peters waving to the reporters as he's driving off. And when I heard that, the last one, I'm just like, oh, media, you have just showed your whole ass. And I think what Mr. Peters did, ignoring them, because the media has been poor this election cycle. And now they're like going, okay, that's done, let's move on to the next thing, without taking any responsibility for the poor job they did. And I'm not saying Winston Peters has any morals or ethics or anything like that, but what has happened is he's basically gone, nah, not playing your game today. Now, he's a bit of a master of communication. He will be playing the game at some stage. So I'm not big upping Peters overall, but I did like this one interaction where he just basically went, nah, not talking to you.
Mr. Peters, welcome back. Have you spoken to Christopher Luxon yet?
Upon questions.
What's the most pressing issue for you in the next government?
Upon questions.
What's Christopher Luxon had to say to you?
All left unanswered.
You must be happy to be back in Wellington.
The man with much to say rendered mute.
Any non-negotiables?
Wherever Winston wanders, there's always a perspective from the public.
Give those ACT Party bastards hell.
Now, if you missed that, someone shouted out, "Give those ACT Party bastards hell," from someone at the airport. So, we've talked about how that coalition's going to work.
But even that only drew a wave in the trademark grin.
Have you spoken to National?
No question was worth an answer today.
Are you the next Speaker of the House?
Mustering his voice only for manners.
Thanks, mate. You're welcome.
Before he sped off, bound for his well-trodden turf, getting Peters into the Parliament, a full-scale operation through a little-known entrance. News Hub spotted him, though.
Mr. Peters, have you spoken to Christopher Luxon yet?
So began round 2 of silence.
Why won't you say anything, Mr. Peters?
Returning New Zealand First MP Mark Patterson keeping details tight.
What's the plan for today? Is he meeting with Christopher Luxon?
I don't know.
Down to business inside, but the secrecy strategy was scuppered by a clear glass window. Quickly.
But unfortunately, Mr. Peters went back to his tried and true, because this is a building that they're about to go in, that they're about to meet in, that the press has been allowed to use and access for media scrums, etc., etc., etc. But you'll see in this report what happens. Lloyd Burr, from a tweet from this afternoon, "Sad day for democracy. Winston's people have had the Bowen Select Committee Room deemed office space, which means we can't film where we've always been able to." So Winston then went back to Winston, not gangster, wankster, maybe, instead, by basically making it harder for the reporters to do their job beyond just shutting up. He put some barriers up. And to be honest, it's a bit what Luxon did yesterday by not letting his MPs talk.
He fixed up with some frosting before a change of location.
So you're not going to tell us what the plan is for the rest of the day?
You don't even know where we're going.
Well, no. Well, we're going to find out if we...
Committee room turned caucus room. More questions shut down by the party president.
Can you just tell us what the process is? That's all we want to know.
Nope.
Has Winston talked to... Oh, you've just dropped some money. It's quite a sizable piece. Has Winston talked to Chris Luxon yet?
No comment.
Before New Zealand First called for a rule change and our cameras were turfed out of the corridor.
Well, the swipes let us in, and then 5 minutes later they've been swapped. When Fletcher came out, and
it's been changed.
Variations of no comment echoed off Wellington buildings all day.
How does it feel to be back in Parliament?
Won't say any more for now, thanks.
Do you have any word for the New Zealand public?
Eventually, the team offering up morsels.
You've been waiting, so we thought we'd bring you some
is
afternoon tea.
this actually why you've come out?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you very
There you
much.
go.
The
Sorry.
whole thing.
Of Kai rather than information.
There's no rhetoric to share, but there's the equivalent of loaves and fishes. Okay, guys?
Thank you very
And at the end of the day,
Spoken to National yet? How was your meeting?
the public none the wiser as to Peters' plans. Jenna Lynch, News Hub.
So there you go. So that was Mr. Peters. Now, what I thought I'd show you, I just talked about what the last reporter said when he got into the car. That didn't do it. I'll play you this little 2-minute clip. This is from, I think, One News did this. Yep, this is from One News. 27 questions he ignored going through the airport, and they've listed them. This is just more. We should probably, actually, maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll put it on like 1.5 speed. Just because I need to watch the whole thing. 1.5 speed. This is the questions he's being asked, and Winston Peters putting the media in their place.
Mr. Peters, welcome back. Have you spoken to Christopher Luxon yet?
How are you? How do you feel about having a sort of welcome when you land in Wellington? Is it a good feeling?
Mr. Peters, how long do you intend to be in Wellington for this trip? What's the most pressing issue for you in the next government? Happy to be back? Possibly back in town?
You noticed that I changed the Air New Zealand safety demo.
Is there anything you'd like to say, Mr. Peters?
Mr. Peters, is it true that they offered you the role of Speaker?
Would you allow a referendum on treaty?
All right. What's the reason for keeping a bit silent today? Is there a reason for it?
You must be happy with that in Wellington. Any non-negotiables? You got a bag quicker?
Mr. Peters, do you have any thoughts on National delaying the rebuild of Whangarei Hospital?
Where are you going?
Well, is there any chance of a home parliament?
What's Christopher Luxon have to say to you?
When are you next going to make a statement, Mr. Peters? Are you going to be making a statement at any stage?
Listen out for that last question. Give us a wave. Please, Mr. Peters, give us a wave.
Have you spoken to National?
Do you think Hipkins will stay on for the whole term as leader, Labour Party leader?
Around here.
Are you the next Speaker of the House?
Good day.
Good day.
Can we get a wave?
Can we get a wave? How neutering for the media. I mean, that's the thing, eh? It's neutering. It's like being put in their place. Absolutely 100%.